It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we're back. Vacation's over.
All right, fine.
Nose to the grindstone.
Okay, fine.
He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh, we've just been so busy talking about everything that's been going on. Vacation was good. In response to a couple of listeners who always ask me, how was the travel? Great.
Yeah. Now, you were already there when there was the American Airlines glitch, which only lasted an hour or two.
Yes. That happened, I think.
Was it Christmas Eve or the day before?
Christmas Eve, I think.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, yeah. Because I traveled on the 23rd.
Yeah, you were already
in the evening. I had a direct flight. The only thing that we had, it was great because we boarded early. They closed, the door was closed with like 10 minutes before departure. Like, this is going to be great. And we sat there for an hour and 10 minutes. Baggage had not been loaded.
Oh, no.
So there we are sitting in the plane. Everything's ready, the baggage. But that was it. That was really it. Everything else was fine. The best part was the rental car counters. Remember the nightmare? I had to wait 2 hours.
Wow.
And one I have fast break. The other is preferred, where you're just supposed to go down to the kiosk.
Right.
Hand them your keys hand them your license. And they give you the keys.
Yeah, yeah.
And I waited 2 hours one time. Kiosk closed. And had to wait in line. No special line set up for the preferred or fast break. I forgot which one I was using over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I went up there, just like Thanksgiving. Nobody there when I got there. I just, there it is, gave it to me and walked right out. And on the way back, no problem. No problem. Oh, TSA, right through.
Yeah, okay.
Now I've got the pre-check. I will say this. When I got to Buffalo, this would have been on the 27th. The line was out the door for the TSA pre-check. I was there at like 5 to 4 a.m., 5 to 4 in the morning, and they hadn't opened it up yet. But once they did, it just zoomed right through. I mean, it took less than 5 minutes to get through. So, the travel was all good. Dad's doing good.
Good.
Dad,
good.
I posted that picture on X. Of myself.
That's
and
a great
father.
picture. I had not seen it. I was not on social media at all. In fact, the entire time we were out. But you showed it to me in the pre-show meeting. Great picture. Your dad looks
well.
good.
We were sitting in my sister's house, and I'm just sitting there talking to him, and put my hand on his hand. His hand was cold, and I said, "Is my hand warm?" He goes, "Yeah." And we're just sitting there, and I'm basically holding hands with my father. If people that don't know, my dad will be 99 in April.
Wow.
And we're just enjoying it. I forgot what was on the TV, some show, or the kids were unwrapping presents. We're just sitting there, just talking. My sister goes by, and I'm sitting there going, this would be a great picture. I said, could you take our picture? And she took it.
Yeah.
And it was. I just went, this is a great picture. And, you want those memories, because the one thing that we all think, if you have elderly parents, whenever you leave them, you say, I hate that the thought goes through my mind, but it's been going through my mind since my father was in his 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
You just think about it. And when you live out of town, it's like, is this the last time? Is this the last time? And
yeah.
I don't want this to be the last time. I mean, you think about it. And it's funny because one of my best friends, his father died when he was 18. And it's even when my mother passed away 4 years ago. Wow, 4.5 years ago. Wow. Whoa. No, almost 5 years ago.
Almost 5, yeah.
Almost 5. Wow.
That's crazy, huh?
And I remember being sad, but a part of me said, you have no right to be sad. You had your mother till 93. So many people never have their mother that long. And so there's like that thought actually goes through your mind. I went, no, I don't care about that. No, I'm kidding. But those are the kind of thoughts that go through your mind. And same with my dad. And it's like, you think, well, it's natural when he goes, he's old, and it's like that thought won't enter my mind.
Yeah.
It really won't. I mean, it does, you wonder how you'll think now, but it's a fact. No, you'll miss him. But it was a great picture, and he's doing great. I mean, he's got the worst part is physical pain, and it's his back pain.
Right.
It's his stenosis. His
Yeah.
mind still works great, and I think when you have that pain all the time, it does affect your mind a little bit, especially when you're that age.
Yeah, sure.
Pain can affect you.
Yeah. My dad is dealing with sciatica. He'll be 92 here in a few months and dealing with some pretty bad sciatica that's been going on for a number of weeks now. And using a cane, and it's the first time, he's had to walk with assistance. And so it's, I went up there, saw him, in fact, went up there a few times, helped him with some leaves. And I only charged him $100 an hour, but I thought that was reasonable. I thought that was, if it's your parents, you should give them a discount. So I did. We had a great time. Dad's always, it's always great talking with him. And we didn't get into much of a political discussion. There were a couple of things in the news we talked about briefly. Typically, we'll have our own talk show, but I was kind of on a mission to help him out since he's been in a lot of pain lately. I wanted to get some things done for him, so I was working quite a bit around his house. That was actually, it was a great day. It was a beautiful day. That I went back a couple of days later to finish up a project, and it was just great. The weather was great, and we had a great time. So, and I felt good being able to, having that time to be able to get up there, and see them. My brother-in-law, who lives nearby, and my sister do a lot for them, but my brother-in-law has been sidelined with arm surgery. So, I wanted to get up there, and I had the time, and it was great. So, great time off. Christmas Day was very quiet. My wife made some Italian soup that was unbelievable. Watched John Wick 4. It's a new Christmas favorite. But we'd been saving. We were going to watch it last year. But we didn't get to it. My oldest daughter comes over. And then we watch. Last year we watched 2. We watched 2 John Wick movies. But, and then the discussion inevitably, is there going to be another one? And, a few days later, Keanu Reeves answered that in the media. But we didn't really do much aside from that, but I stayed busy the whole time. It was better than sitting around, focusing on the fact that I was going to have this venue to vent, and come in and talk about everything that was going on. So I pretty much just stayed busy the whole time. It was good.
And an update as on the terrorist attacks. You've got now almost all the media reporting it now. The man responsible for the Cybertruck explosion outside Trump International Hotel served at the same military base as the New Orleans terrorists, according to a new report. Law enforcement officials raided a home belonging to the 37-year-old man from Colorado Springs on Wednesday night. The suspect has a military background and served at the same base as Samsud Din Jabbar, who fatally ran down 15 people in a rented car in New Orleans in the early hours of New Year's Day. Denver 7, ABC Denver 7 reports. So we had that for you earlier on the show, but just keeping you updated there. You and I were talking about what drives somebody to do it. He converted to Islam as a young man. Don't know what age it was, but I happened to find this. This is the military officer who was over Jabbar in Afghanistan.
Mm.
He wrote this on X. Richard Groen is his name. As I process the devastating events that unfolded in New Orleans, I'm in utter disbelief. Jabbar served under my troop command during our deployment to Afghanistan. He worked quietly and professional, and as in the S1 shop and as a mail clerk, ensuring the little things that kept us all connected to home were done with care and precision. He was a great soldier, someone who showed discipline and dedication. To think that the same individual who once embodied quiet professionalism could harbor so much hate, leading to such unspeakable atrocities, is incomprehensible and heartbreaking. This transformation is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked anger, isolation, and hate. Please watch out for one another. Be there for your brothers and sisters in arms, your friends, and even those who seem distant and trouble. Don't let hate take root, either in your own heart or in the hearts of those around you. We must care for one another before it's too late. My prayers go out to the victims and their families. May they find strength in this time of unimaginable grief. Let's honor their memory by ensuring we stand together against hate in all of its forms. It's interesting, just the number of different comments that he got, and more than one said, sometimes it's something that happens in your life that you blame. If I can't succeed, then nobody does. And when somebody wrote that comment, to him concerning Jabbar, and again, we don't know, but I'd asked the question earlier. By having the success that he had as a young man in the military, and then at one point they said he was making like $125,000 a year, which isn't a bad salary to make in the state of Texas. Then everything went downhill. Apparently divorced twice. I think was he charged? Was he charged with simple assault once?
I don't recall on the specific charges.
I know he was driving without a license. I know.
Yeah, I know one was related.
I forgot what the other one was. Right. But then he lost everything.
Yeah.
How specifically, don't know. Whether it was the divorce, whatever. But in one of the videos, one of his plans was to murder his entire family. And so you ask yourself, what takes you down that path, where most of us would never be taken down that path.
Right.
And
and was it an event? What was it related to? Look, if the two are related, and it's looking more and more, with the Turo app being used with both vehicles involved, Las Vegas and New Orleans. When that story came out yesterday, it started to look more and more like these were related. If we find out, if it's confirmed they are related, and those two individuals planned together, then what was the set of events or single event that set that off? And what was that transition like in the radicalization of both of them? It's scary to think about. Look, we have people, we already know that there are people, while Jabbar was an American citizen, there are people who are not American citizens that are here and wish to do harm. We already know that. That's confirmed by American officials. But when you see something like this, where you have one of your own citizens that has served, that is going to turn, it's not the first time we've seen it. But when you do see it, the question is, how does that happen? And what in the world do you look for? It's mind-boggling. It really is. It's scary to think about. SugarBowl still on for tonight in New Orleans. And I don't know what the security is going to be like. You know, they've been talking about in New Orleans shutting down during big events, shutting down Bourbon Street to vehicle traffic. It would just be pedestrian traffic. One of the things that we have to think about in a situation after a tragedy like this, after an attack like this, is that the attackers plan things like this so they want to go to where the people are. The point being, the hijackers on 9/11 didn't need guns on those planes. And if not a vehicle yesterday, then the attacker would have used some other means. I don't know how you prevent, again, something like this. I don't know what security you put into place to prevent something like this. Even if you didn't allow vehicles, the bad guy's going to look to kill people, multiple people anyway that they can.
You know, you look at whether there's a tie-in, and you have ABC Denver reporting that there is a tie-in that they served on the same military base. And I can't help but think of, when you think of Timothy McVeigh and then Terry Nichols.
Right.
And they met Michael Fortier, by the way, got out of prison.
Yeah.
You know, he was, he was also charged.
Right.
Nichols, life in prison because he was convicted of conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction and 8 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
So he got life in prison without the possibility of parole. But it's very rare that you get Americans cooperating in that number to commit a terrorist act.
Right.
So I just happen to think about that, though. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by Howe's Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
When it comes to warmth nationwide in the last month of 2024.
It'll still be a few days until we get our final report for the month of December, but I can assure you it's going to be another month on the warm side of the historical record.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says the early December surge of warmth in several parts of the country was tempered towards the later days of the month by cold air in the north central and northeastern areas of the U.S.
That said, we are going to see some dramatic changes coming as we start the new year.
With waves of colder air, particularly east of the Rockies, traveling throughout the coming week.
By the time we get into the middle of our first week in 2025, noticeably colder temperatures by this weekend should drop below zero across the north central United States, likely as far south as Iowa. And then we'll see some further deepening of that cold as we move a little further into 2025.
And with the cold fronts, increasing active weather in the form of snow. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and good morning. So that's how you're looking at it now, too, by reading the story, because I was trying to get it straight in my head after they had said that that the accomplices that they thought that they had in New Orleans panned out not to be true. But from what you read, I wasn't sure if they had just not taken out of the story, or whether because they had talked about there were 2 pipe bombs, right?
Right. Here it is from the New York Post. At least 3 improvised pipe bombs were found nearby in the city, this being New Orleans' famed French Quarter, including 1 in Jabbar's truck. 2 were homemade with nails hidden in blue coolers, sources told.
So it was just those people that they originally thought weren't the ones that put them there, but
right.
That's
what
why they believe
like.
there's other people. Okay.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. A couple of stories that there's still tomorrow. There's still more stories that we've got to get in of what happened while we were on vacation.
Yeah.
But I found this interesting. You see the Rasmussen poll? 59% of voters want Liz Cheney to answer to her role in the committee that investigated the January 6th Capitol riot.
Wow.
59%.
That's almost half.
Things have changed so much you think about it. I mean, to get that number, that blew me away when I saw that.
Yeah, go back.
When you go back and
go
look
back,
at it.
go back a couple of years. Go back, to when everybody was being delusional. I mean, that's a huge swing. I'd love to get into the minds of the respondents who said, yeah, the 59%. All right, let's talk about what should be done. What do you think should be done? I mean, I suspect nothing's going to be done. But what is it that other people, these respondents here, expect to be done, I wonder? Or if something was going to be done, what would it be? I don't know what that would be. I think part of it was the fact that she didn't win, in Wyoming. I think her political downfall was the answer to that. I don't know that I don't know that anything else is going to happen. I just don't know what those respondents would expect. What do you expect would happen if she were going to pay the price for something here? It would, legally. What would that be? Well, politically, she paid the price.
I want to play this audio cut. We talked about it, but we didn't play the audio cut. This is Trump talking about the H-1B visas, which was a huge discussion over the holiday with Trump surrogates, as we have said, especially online. Yeah. So many of them, no idea where Trump has been on legal immigration.
Right.
And here was when the question was asked to him.
Why'd you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
That's almost verbatim what he told Jim Acosta,
Yep.
3.5 years ago?
Yep.
There were, like I said, there were three things that happened from the Republican side that really caught my attention. The last one was Trump endorsing Mike Johnson, and then him having discussions with Mike Johnson.
Right.
But the first one was the whole continuing resolution and the Trump surrogates wanting Chip Roy to be primaried against in his next election.
Yeah.
And you and I had addressed this because they were talking about it, and I said, I bet you someone comes out and says they need to primary them because the Trump surrogates, I'm sorry, they don't even know where people stand anymore. Because with Chip Roy, he's a rhino. So now a rhino is somebody who says the new Trump administration is coming in and they claim they want to cut, and yet they're spending money that isn't paid for, which means they're adding to the deficit, which is exactly what they've been screaming they're against.
It's in part why Trump got elected. Not
right.
It wasn't the biggest part of why he got elected, but it's what he's talking about now, his transition team.
Right. And Chip Roy's saying, I want them to stick for it, so I'm not going to vote for this bill.
Yeah.
And you say you want to primary him because he's some type of liberal rhino? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And then when the H-1B visas came out and they're screaming, you and I was like, I can't wait to see if Trump is asked his question to see if he says what he did just a month, I think it was right before the election.
Yeah.
Because he talked again about legal immigration, how we're going to need not just H-1B visas, which are temporary, but we need new legal immigrants into the country for citizenship because we're going to have so many jobs. Now, whether that comes true or not isn't the point. I tend to look at history and say, yeah, we're going to need it because we have no birth rate.
Right.
And it's going to keep going down and down and down. We're not going to have women come into the workforce as we have since from the 1940s on. We're not going to have a baby boom like that ever again. That all of that, think about that. The vast majority of women were not in the workforce pre-World War II.
Right.
They were in the next 50 years after, when there were now more women in the workforce than men, and you had an unprecedented baby boom that we'll never see again. All those people were needed to fill the jobs. If you don't have that, and you can't even, as a nation, replace through birth your population, if you're going to grow at 2.5% to 3%, and this is exactly what Trump has said. You and I've said it for the longest time. And when Trump said it, we went, wow, is he listening to us? Because it's exactly what we have said. If you're going to do it, it's not an opinion. It's what has history shown you're going to have.
You got to have workers. You got to have people to do it.
Well, you need resources. And people are resources.
Yep.
For business. That's just the reality
Trump
of it.
hasn't wavered on this.
No.
In years.
And so I know you were doing the same thing. I can't believe I didn't text you going, are you thinking the same thing? Do all these, especially the online surrogates, I'm so for Trump and the H-1B visas. No, we're not going to have them. And you're like, well, Trump's going to come out and say not only the H-1B visas, we need more legal immigration. And that's what he said.
Yep.
Quote, I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. We need a lot more people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before. Those are all quotes.
Right.
And the fact is, it's as if because Trump is against illegal immigration, it seemed that nobody who supports Trump online, many of his major surrogates, had any idea where Trump stands on this. And it was just
right.
And so then that quieted down the surrogates a little bit. Then when the Mike Johnson thing came in the other day, it was like everybody's quiet going, what's going on here?
Right.
Is Trump a rhino? I've been defining Trump the way I wish to define Trump, and he isn't defining himself the way I wish to define him.
I got a question. Is Donald Trump a never Trumper? This is how stupid it's getting.
I know. It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a never Trumper.
Don't vote for me. Everybody knows. But it's the problem, and he talked about it in the context surrounding the election cycle this time, was, you're going to deport, the liberal activist media. You're going to deport, well, look, we want legal immigration. He said it. I believe it's been a couple of different times, aside from the other day, in recent months that he's talked about it.
Yes, he has.
We want legal immigration. We want people here to help grow the economy. Because we said, I think at the time when he said it, the one time we said, all right, right now the voter base is not there with you on legal immigration. They're just not. It's secure the border, and then we'll talk. We'll talk later. But get job one done. But he hasn't changed, just as he said the other day. I haven't changed. This is where he is. And yet, everybody seems to be lost.
Because we've talked about it numerous times when he has said it. We said, well, this is really interesting because once they realize, and we said the American public, because of illegal immigration, is not pro-legal immigration,
right? And
Trump is. And we would bring that up, and people go, what are you talking? We had to go back, and we would play the Jim Acosta one because that really was the most famous one to us. But then over the last couple of months, he has said it more frequently, and then he said it the other day again. Yeah. I'm just like, wow. And it really did remind me, for those, we always refer to the whole Ron Paul situation. When Ron Paul, when his supporters, I mean, it just, we would get called, where we need Ron Paul because Ron Paul is against free trade.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's not against free trade. Yes, certainly is. He's against NAFTA. No. You don't even understand. NAFTA is not free trade. NAFTA is managed trade.
Right.
Ron Paul wants no rules.
Right.
There's no rules.
Free trade.
Unmanaged free trade. And we had these people arguing with it. You don't even know where he stands. And I mean, this didn't go on for a week. This went on for years.
Yeah.
You and I were just...
Ron Paul wasn't new to the scene.
No.
And we got calls. And by the way, it was at his website.
Yeah, we directed people to his website. Here it is. Here's the website. Here's what it says.
Unmanaged free trade.
You guys are making this up. I mean, we got, for years, this happened, it was at least 2 years you and I were dealing with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we couldn't believe that there were people still calling, you guys are wrong. Ron Paul has it right. It's like, well, you don't even know what Ron Paul thinks. Well, what do you mean? I've supported him for the longest time. And you don't know what he thinks.
Right. No, it went on for a while.
And that's why the whole Trump thing was just mind-boggling over the last couple of weeks. On the visas, we're like, don't you even know where Trump stands on this?
Well, by the end of it, we will be crossing streams, like on the whole Ghostbusters things and being in a parallel universe, and they'll tell Trump, hey, Trump, next time you need to have Trump primary against Trump.
Well, then when the Mike Johnson thing came along, and I'm like, oh, what? Yeah. Now I expect that was, that one, that's something new. The other, the Chip Roy really didn't concern him, but the on legal immigration, we knew where he stood.
Right.
But I did expect the Mike Johnson thing because Trump wants a smooth transition. He can't get anything done if Republicans are in a war between now and January 20th.
Well, what I think the focus needs to be, and I don't know why it's not, needs to be on Trump's agenda. Because here's the thing. Johnson knows it's Trump's game now. That wasn't the case coming in 2016, well, January 2017, when Trump served his first term. He didn't have, remember what it was during the transition. Paul Ryan, he needs to be out. Now, we saw some of that here, but there was a lot of infighting and very divided in the GOP. Well, everything gelled this past election season for the GOP behind Trump like never before. Well, keep the focus on what he's doing. But everybody seems to be grabbing the wheel for themselves, steering in whatever direction they think he wants to go in. Why don't you ask him what he wants to do?
I will say this on the Chip Roy thing because somebody asked the question, should Chip Roy be primaried? I will say about 60% of people said, do you know exactly what we said? You know where Chip Roy stands.
Right.
Do you even know where he stands? For you to be saying this, do you even know where he stands on it? And I thought there were people fighting back saying, no, Chip Roy is actually on the same path that Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are at.
Right.
And he's saying, you guys say you're going to cut like this. Well, if you're going to spend another $100 billion without paying for it at all in this bill,
right,
I want you to start now.
Right.
I support the Trump agenda. I want to cut now.
Right. Exactly.
And it was like, he's a liberal rhino. Get rid of him. And I'm like, some of these Trump surrogates have no idea what's going on.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Man, what a long week. We got to work tomorrow, too, before the weekend.
What? I thought we had a 3-day weekend this week.
No, we only have a 2-day weekend. We had to work 2 days, and we only get 2 days off.
A 2-day weekend?
I don't know how we can handle this. We need to renegotiate.
A 2-day weekend. Oh, my gosh.
How will we be able to recoup?
That's fine. I got to drive 2 miles home, too. And tonight, 2 miles back to the office.
We're introducing a new feature in 2025.
Yeah.
Eric and Gary, victims.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Fine. Okay, I guess we'll be back tomorrow.
Okay.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.